1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. I guess I look at myself or I look at you. I'm trying to think how to make it look right. Okay. Okay. All right. Is basically exchanging is what I always call the best kept secret in real estate. It's something that people have been doing for 60 years, and yet most people who have a lot of experience in traditional real estate have never heard of exchanging or done an exchange. Now, people have heard it, yeah. Oh, sure, yeah, if you have other questions. First, yeah, I thought you were ready to just go and just go and blow and record.
It's time for the Creative Real Estate Podcast, your source for out-of-the-box real estate investing strategies, brought to you by realbluespruce.com.
Welcome back to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Adam AAA Adams. And this is the Creative Real Estate Podcast. And today we're talking about the best kept secret within the real estate industry. And so I'm excited to really get into this. And we have an expert on the line who's going to share with us this best kept secret. It's Blake Allen. And if you live in Colorado, you know Blake Allen for sure. If you're in real estate and you're in Colorado, you know his name because he speaks all over the city. He's sharing information about this best kept secret, which most people haven't heard of. Most people, however, there's a lot of people, they're usually older, they got a few gray hairs or a lot of gray hairs, that are utilizing this best kept secret that you're going to want to understand, you're going to want to know how to implement. So Blake Allen, he's the owner of the brokerage Allen Realty. He's a client-based real estate brokerage in the Colorado Springs area, right?
Right. Manitou Springs is
Manitou Springs,
town next to Colorado Springs.
All right, perfect. And you've been licensed. Blake's been licensed for 30 years. So some of us weren't even born 30 years ago, and he's been licensed now for 34 years in the industry. I can't wait to get into the information that we're going to be learning from Blake. He's attended hundreds of local, regional, and national exchange meetings, these things called exchange, and we'll get into that. You'll know a little bit more about what we mean by exchange. He's taken hundreds of hours of CE, that's continuing education, and he's really focused on being able to learn, being able to teach people how to use these exchanges in place of or in conjunction with 1031 exchanges. So I guess what I'm saying is this, what we're learning today is not specifically a 1031 exchange. It's a totally new way, but we'll learn how you can use them with or without a 1031 exchange. And his bio goes on and on and on. He's a member of the National Council of Exchangers, which is bestowed upon him in the Equity Marketing Specialist designation since 2007. I remember 2007 is when I first got involved in multifamily, and he was already doing what we're going to share with you today. So I'm excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Blake Allen from Manitou Springs, not Colorado Springs.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Amazing. Fantastic.
Good,
excited.
Good.
So this best kept secret, I think that there's people listening right now, and they're looking at you, they're listening to you, and they're saying, what are they talking about? What is this exchange thing? So if you want, just give us the 101 on the baseline of what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll go ninja style after that.
Okay. Well, we've already had the preamble about being the best kept secret. So exchanging is the ability to trade real estate and one set of benefits in real estate for another set of benefits in another piece of property. And how it happens is, all of us are different. Okay. One thing I like to tell people is, remember, you're unique just like everybody else. The fact that we're different means we all want different things in real estate. Okay, when people think traditionally of selling real estate, they're thinking of trading for cash, selling for cash, and then they're going to go out and buy something with cash, okay? There are tax consequences to that make it not desirable. people now use 1031 exchanges. Okay, I think it's interesting that this, what I do is considered a new way when actually it predated the 1031 exchanges. So 1031 was a result of a decision, call it a guy named Starker, the Starker decision. He had a bunch of timberland and he wanted to sell it and couldn't sell it quickly enough to go find replacement properties because it was so much. You know, it's all this Weyerhaeuser land in the Northwest. So he basically sued the government for the right to take the money from the sale, give it to somebody else, and then go buy real estate. That's what created the deferred exchange, the 1031 exchange that most people are familiar with the qualified intermediary. Now we use those tools as well because those are new tools that we have in the toolbox. But what we're really talking about is exchanging one set of benefits, which is involved with the ownership of a piece of real estate, for another set of benefits, which is the ownership of another piece of real estate, which is what you do every time you buy a multifamily that needs work, and then you sell one that's finished, and then you go buy another one that needs work. You're doing it, but you're trading in through dollars, okay? So, like we say, the best kept secret is the exchanging, okay? We can trade this directly. We can't do this if other people don't understand what we're doing. So there exists for about 60 years a marketplace, an exchange marketplace, where brokers meet and trade property. Not many people are aware of it. You are, because I've been talking to you for a number of years, and you're aware of it in Denver, because Denver is a very active market for exchanging. 40 to 70 brokers meet every single week in Denver to trade real estate. In Colorado Springs, we meet a couple of times a month, and we have national meetings where hundreds of brokers will meet together to trade literally billions of dollars of real estate. So that's sort of the best kept secret, is that we're out there, okay? As you were saying, the gray hair part of it, we're a very old group. I'm in my 50s and I'm a young guy, okay? I'd love to have a group where I can be a young guy, but I'd like to actually have the group survive and have more people to do deals with. Everybody who's in the exchange marketplace is a licensed broker. So you basically need to, have your license or work with a licensed broker and a real estate counselor, because it's just like anything else. You should have somebody in your corner in the real estate world with a lot of experience who knows different ways of doing transactions. The key to it is client counseling. What we are is real estate counselors. There are a couple of different groups, national groups that meet annually. The National Council of Exchangers is a group where any real estate licensee can join and go to a marketing meeting 4 times a year in Las Vegas. The other group, Society of Exchange Counselors, why I mentioned that, the term counselors in their name. Society of Exchange Counselors meets about 6 times a year. It's an invitation-only kind of deal. And it, it's focused on counseled clients. Means you sat down with them like an attorney or a psychiatrist and said, Adam, why would you want that junky apartment building? And then also say, Adam, why would you ever want to get rid of that beautiful apartment building? Okay. And then you explain to me why. And so we then figure out what you're really looking for in your life. Older people will have assets with a low basis, and they need to, they'd like to have the money, but they don't want to pay that much tax. We need to find a way to pass it on to the next generation and let them enjoy the benefits. Young guys like yourself want that property that they own, okay? If they can finance it for you, you really want it, okay? You want it even more. You have an offsetting set of benefits. The older person who has the property for a long time and a younger person like yourself make a good exchange partners, and you can then trade your little property up into the big property, ask for seller carry, and everybody gets benefits that they're looking for. So the key is to get with a broker that is a real estate counselor, and we'll sit down and ask these questions. We'll bring your properties to the marketplace and give you the opportunities that are there. The people are seeking specific sets of benefits. So the price and the rest of it, while it's important, it's not the same as it is in the what I call the cutthroat hostage-taking negotiations that we go through in the real estate business that I'm not really so fond of. But anyway, counseling is a big part, and then the rest is formulas. But do you have any questions about counseling or how I work?
Well, I do have a question. It sounds like a lot of who you're speaking to is investors, which is good. And I know I have hundreds of agents that listen to this show as well. Some of them are listening because they want to be able to get more into the multifamily or investing area, and some of them are already doing both. But because there are hundreds of agents that I already know personally that listen to my show regularly, I was thinking to myself, what was it? Let's just say they're listening right now. And they're thinking to themselves like, this sounds pretty cool. And maybe I'm not an old person. Maybe I'm not in my 70s right now. But this obviously is the best kept secret. And maybe I'm in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. And it's very important, probably, right? As you said, Blake, you don't want this whole thing to just be deleted, right? So you want to make sure that you're having young blood, new blood, fresh meat, right? So greenies. So how does one who does have a license or is wanting to get their license soon, how does one find these exchange groups so that they can, be that green blood into the new exchange wave?
Sure, absolutely. And I'm glad that you asked, because I focus a lot on agents, and I think that generally listenership would be investors, but absolutely I want to talk to the agents, because this is a skill set that will not go away with the internet. Okay, some of the things that traditional agents do are at risk because of the technology, and people your age will start buying houses they live in online. Real estate counseling is not going to go away. So how do they find it? The National Council of Exchangers, and it's ncexchangeors.com. They can go this April to Las Vegas. They'll take an 8-hour course, and it's the beginning of their equity marketing specialist designation. Then they have to attend a number of meetings, but they'll have an 8-hour course and then 3 full days of marketing, where they have, thousands of years of experience in the room. And the thing I'd like to say, first of all, about we are collaborators, okay? If everybody doesn't leave the transaction with a better set of benefits than they started, nobody's going to close. We've been doing this long enough, we know that. We don't want to waste our time on deals that don't close, so we always work together. So that new person coming to our group has a bunch of grandpas and a bunch of uncles, okay, who are willing to take them under their wing and help them get through transactions. Now, there are always, like everywhere, a small percentage of people that, aren't good, aren't ethical, but 99% of the people you run into in exchangers are going to take you, they're going to spend the time to educate you, because they want you to know and your client to know. This way you can start taking these classes. Ted Blank teaches a class in Denver, a 7 CE credit counseling class. You take that class, you do everything you can, and you go to the Mile High Exchangers every Wednesday, and you hang out with those sarcastic, grumpy old men, and you learn what we do. And like we say, be a taker. You go and you get yourself involved. You build your own estate as a broker alongside your clients. You can't conflict. And some people just get the license to do it for themselves. I think the act of counseling and helping another person and watching them grow is an important part of it. I think it really helps you, because it's about giving back, a lot of it. It's not the same as we're just in it to make money. Almost everyone in the exchangers has made a lot of money and can do real estate transactions, and that's not the problem. It's taking care of the client. If you have a client who has a property that is worth $2 million and has a basis of $100,000, they have to do something other than sell it, or they should. Okay, and so we have to get to know what they would want. What are they going to do? If we give them, the classic question I'll ask a real estate broker is, if I give your client all cash, what are they going to do with the money? If any of that answer involves real estate, we say, hey, what is that real estate? Let's see if we can give you that instead, because there's a good chance that in our market we have it. People say, no way you have this. Well, there are hundreds of brokers around the country, and we all have that. So the thing that to get to the nuts and bolts, so how the agents get involved, you get involved with your local exchange group. If you don't have one in your town, talk to the National Council of Exchangers. We will help you put one in your town. We'll help you get the education. You come to the national meetings, you will be the expert in your area. We trade all over the country. Okay, there are people in small markets that are just as active as exchangers as people who work downtown Denver. So, I think for the agents, the other thing is when you do a deal on an exchange, you're getting rid of one property, you're selling one. You're also helping your client acquire one. You did two acts. You deserve to get paid for both of them, and you do. When you've done that, and you do several transactions for these clients, do you think there's much chance they're going to go to anyone else? They're not. You've got them for life. You know what they're going to do. You've helped them make millions of dollars. They're happy for you to make money. They know every dollar you make, they'll make 10. Everybody wins, okay? And any more questions about the agent part or the counseling? Because counseling is the key. You have to spend the time to get to know them, and it takes a long time to get the art of counseling.
So, no, not a question, but I do want to just point out to the listener that the NCE, or the National Council of Exchangers, the link that Blake just mentioned is actually now currently in the show notes. So you can actually scroll down. But just to be clear, it's ncexchangers.com. So I got that in the show notes. I've actually pulled it up, and looks like a great website. Looks like if you are an agent and you're thinking to yourself, this is the new thing, and it kind of does sound like the new thing to anybody who's under 50.
What's old is new.
Yeah, what's old is new. It's like bell bottoms, right? Bell bottoms. They were in, and they were totally out, and people were making fun, and then all of a sudden they're coming back. It's 2020, and people are wearing bell bottoms, and people are thinking they're cool. It's the same thing with just like hairdos. They phase in, they phase out. So I think it's interesting. That's the thing about
getting older. As you get older, you realize, well, it all looks good. It's just a matter of when it was.
Good deal. Yeah. So ncexchangers.com. That'll be in the show notes, so you could scroll down right now.
Sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Blake, one quick question. As there's a lot of syndicators or aspiring syndicators that listen to this show, and all that means for those who are listening who don't syndicate or haven't heard of that term before, all it means is that it's a group of people that pool money together. Some of them go on the limited partnership where they don't have to do any work, and some of them are on the general partnership where they have to manage the entire thing. So my next question for you, Blake, is just to understand, is this something that would typically work within the syndication space? Or is it more like just joint ventures and people that own it out all by themselves?
Right. Well, we can apply it to the syndication space in a number of ways. Now, I myself, as far as the LLC way of everybody joining together in an LLC in the syndication space, that is not as conducive to exchanging as if the whole group agrees and goes together. Okay, that's part of the part. But what we really do is, when you're looking at a syndication, you have two groups of people who are looking for different sets of benefits a lot of times. You have those who are looking to invest for profit in real estate. Okay, they've got money, they want to get a return. And you have those who are looking to make money off real estate, who want to provide a service, do something, work hard, in some way earn the millions of dollars of upside that they're looking to do. Those are a great match. Your world matches those in the world of syndications into LLCs as credit partners, money partners, general partners, limited partners, that language, okay? That works great as long as you have a good operation where whoever's in control is driving and everybody knows their role. I've seen people be very successful. We have a group in our exchange group that have now just done their $250 million of transactions with that kind of a formula. I like to recommend people do that as tenants in common if you do it, so that if you ever need to, you can leave and exchange your set of benefits for something else, and people will have to come into the syndication subject to what the syndication does. But that way, if two people just don't like each other from some particular human reason that doesn't have to do with real estate, which is usually what happens, then we can separate them. But what I do like that it focuses about the sets of benefits. Okay, different people want different things at different times in their life. When you or other people go and want to raise money, and I see so much of this about raising money, exchanging, you don't need to raise money. Okay, we're going to short circuit that need to raise money. Okay, when you go into these meetings, everybody understands that everybody's different, and that some people have a really good credit score and a really good balance sheet, and they really make great credit partners. Some people have the money, they'll do it for a yield. Some people have the projects that they found, and some people might be general contractors and want to build something from the ground up. All those people have different sets of benefits that they bring and different sets of benefits that they need. Now, to take you out of the raising money idea, it's good to have those people there and to provide them the benefits and the return on investment, because that's why they're going to the investment group, and they're great to have money in the room. But we can do all of these things without the partners and without any money, okay? And that's by primarily using debt and equity that you have. So the biggest thing that I'd like you, in a short, relatively short podcast like this to get out of exchanging is, it's not just the client counseling and the benefits that we're talking about. We use things we call exchange formulas, where we take certain sets of benefits and combinations to get people where they want to go. Like if you're an estate builder, you want to start with something, you've got what you've got, and you want a lot more, okay? So one of the first formula in most of the exchange books, and there are a whole number of books, Bob Steele's 300 Ways to Exchange is a
huge book.
It's a huge book, yeah. It's
Huge
got 300 different formulas, okay? So number one, okay, in that book and in most all of them, is what we call the creation of wealth formula. It is where you take a property that you already own. So yes, you have to have some equity. You don't have to, okay? We can use different formulas if you don't. You can borrow pieces of land, go down and buy a property with nothing down, and I can give you, in fact, in the link that I sent you of the video, can give a class. It has an hour-long class with a bunch of formulas if people really want to delve into them. But say you've got a house, it's worth $250,000, and you've owned it. Adam bought it in 2007 when he first decided he liked real estate, and he bought it for nothing. Now he owes $100,000 on it. It's worth $250,000. It's not in Denver because it'd be worth $500,000, but it's, you owe $100,000, it's worth $250,000, and you say, I really like that house. It's the first one I had. I don't want to get rid of it because, it's sort of sentimental, and I like the tenant. I want them to stay there forever. They're raising their family there. Everything's good. But I have $150,000 in equity that I'm not using that I'd like to activate and go own because I like to buy apartments, okay? So you can go at them and go say, I'll go create a $100,000 second note behind my $100,000 first on this property that's rented. Not the home I live in, because there's different issues with the home you live in. But I see that fourplex over there that's $600,000 and I want it, okay? That guy said he'll sell it to me and carry, but he wants to make sure, I'll do it. So I'll take a $100,000 second note on my house and give it to him as a down payment. I'll either go have him sell or carry the rest, or I'll go get a new loan for the rest. You now own two properties. Okay, now you own $850,000 worth of real estate. You still only have $150,000 of equity. You have $50,000 in your house and $100,000 in the new property. But you're in a good market. It's appreciating. There are tenants paying for all of the debt, and you just sit and wait. That's how you create wealth. Okay, you're going to create wealth over time with the same amount of equity you have just by doing an exchange. Now, in that case, you didn't actually exchange property. You just created a note and bought the other property. That's an exchange formula. You don't always trade property. You could give him your house, or if you want the $2 million property, say, hey, I'll give you the $250,000 house as a down payment. he might do that because he doesn't have to pay taxes probably on that house, depending on the circumstances. That house will sell whenever. It's got income coming in, it's got a good set of benefits, and he wins. So that's one formula that works there.
I want to actually ask you one last question before we get into the final five. Okay. And that is something that I believe you mentioned to me over the phone, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth because I could have totally misunderstood it, but I want to clarify something. I thought that you may have said that the ways that you can exchange this while within a 1031 exchange was maybe trading notes for property or trading other different things, and that was confusing to me what I thought that I heard. So I'm ready to have you clarify it. What I thought that I heard was that in a 1031 you could have a piece of paper and then trade it for a piece of property, because the reason that confused me because I keep hearing that in 1031s you have to trade like for like. So you can't, so they've said you can't go from owning your own property to actually investing in an LLC that owns syndication, because that's not like for like. So the only way to do that would be a TIC, tenant in common, and that would mean that you're actually owning the property. But as far as the note thing, I was a little bit confused by it, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to address it before we get into the final five.
Absolutely, and I'm glad, because that's the focus of my brokerage really at this point, is something I call 1031 paper, okay? And we're going to have a 1031paper.com. We're building it with, all this information to let people know what we're really doing. The question I ask people is, do you know that you can do a seller carry and still do a 1031, okay? We've done a number of transactions like that. So what I usually do when I start to teach the class is I take dollars out of my pocket and I say, you know what these are? Well, they're promissory notes from the Federal Reserve. So anything you can do with cash, you can do with a promissory note, including the 1031 process. So just to give you a quick what I put in the cartoon for the 1031 deal. Okay, so you've got your little house, $250,000. A guy comes and says, I'll give you a $50,000 RV as a down payment, and I want you to carry $200,000. And Adam says, great, I love you, you're a great guy, but I want this $500,000 building. I don't want your RV, and I don't want to carry. That doesn't mean you can't do the deal. If you've got a good real estate counselor who understands what's going, he says, listen, Adam, you got a taker for the house, okay? He's going to give you this thing of value. So you say, I will take your seller carry paper, I'll create it for you, subject to finding something else in lieu of that. You're going to take that seller carry paper, give it to your qualified intermediary, okay, just like you would money, as well as the title to the RV will go to your qualified intermediary of choice and be there. You now go and buy the $500,000 property because you got them to say, hey, I'll take the $50,000 RV, the $200,000 first note on your house, and the $250,000 cash from a new loan that you're offering me for the rest of it, okay? So you did a seller carry for the guy with the RV, okay? Thank God you found somebody who wants it. Usually we pass it on down and the brokers end up with the RV, okay? That's how we close a lot of times. But anyhow, you provided the guy the dream. He's got a seller carry on a house. He's got an RV down. He doesn't live in it. That would be a problem. But your other guy has now an RV. He's like, great, I wanted an RV anyhow. I was going to go buy one. He's got a first note by a guy who put $50,000 down. It's a great note. And he's got $250,000 cash for his property. He can do a 1031 with the note and the cash and the title of the RV if he wants, or he can just go down and out, as we say, and take the money. You can do this forever, okay? As you trade forward, eventually enough commissions are in the deal that, back to the agent part, that we as agents have enough money that we can take those notes and those RVs and things like that if we have to. That's not like kind. We have to pay tax on that. But everybody in the deal went from real estate to real estate, except the guy with the RV. But you owned a house as a rental, and now you own a $500,000 something, okay? A little retail center or something. And it's like kind, because the rule for like kind is real estate held for investment for other real estate held for investment. So you can trade land into a shopping center, and as long as the land was held for investment and you're holding the shopping center for investment, it's absolutely a 1031 exchange. That uses the new process, the deferred exchange. We could do this all at once. We used to do it at the closing table and just pass deeds. But now with the 1031 exchanges, yeah, it goes to the intermediary. So that's, probably clear as mud, because I've told people, I have a room full of brokers and only a handful understand. I think the public understands it a little bit more. But the whole idea is that cash is promissory notes. We have 1031 rules. If we create the transaction and go and do it, we can sell or carry. Now, I want to also tell agents and everybody, don't do this without an experienced person. Do not get in your 45-day identification period with that seller carry note when you haven't found that guy who said he would take it. Because you know how hard it is to spend your 1031 cash on the right property, right? Imagine how hard it is to spend your 1031 paper on the right property. So my dream is to have a marketplace where people who understand this have notes seeking property and property seeking notes to expedite this process so that we do have a chance of doing it in 45 days. Okay.
What's the most creative deal you've ever done?
Oh my goodness. Most creative deal I've ever done, because I have to do it real quick, is a 1031 paper. We took an office building, took some cash down, created a note and deed of trust, and we went and bought a KOA campground in Kansas City using that note and deed of trust as a down payment through the qualified intermediary process. Got new financing on the campground, created paper on another deal we did. So my client, without spending any money out of pocket, went from a $700,000 office building to a $3 million campground, and using the 1031 paper process, and I got fees on both transactions.
Love that. Awesome. What's a book you recommend?
Oh, it would be Secrets of a Lucrative Real Estate Career by C. Charles Chatham, who that is, we say, the light side of the force of exchanging. The Bob Steele book is the dark side of the force, and you need the counseling book. C. Charles Chatham, Secrets of a Lucrative Real Estate Career.
And I know you've been involved in real estate as a broker for 34 years. I know you've been doing this for a long time, but I just want to go back 5 years. Just give me a quick picture of what it looked like for you 5 years ago, and a follow-up to that same question. I'd like to hear what it's going to look like 5 years from today.
Well, 5 years ago, just like we all do, I thought I knew everything and was a real estate broker making all kinds of money trading real estate. And I just learned more and more every day. And so I can't believe some of the problems I couldn't help people with 5 years ago that I can now. But yeah, I've been, I was 29 years into my real estate career and had some really good clients and real happy with what was going on then. So, and still am now. I love my job, as we say. And as far as 5 years from now, with things going the way they are, if the economy continues, we will have an enormous portfolio. If the economy doesn't continue and it goes down, we'll have a lot of people to help. And just like every day, get up every morning and say, who can I help today?
All right. Love that. How do you give back?
Through counseling with my clients is a big part of it. I also, I volunteer. I interview kids to get into Columbia University, which is a great pleasure all the time because, imagine the potential of all those kids. And but really, it's every day to my clients and to my profession by saying, listen, we need to be better counselors. We need to have this profession be something we're all proud of, and we all should be looking to our clients to provide the benefits that they seek and help them live better lives.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And the last question is how people reach out to you.
And we are going to be creating the 1031paper.com, which will be a way to which will start to be an archive of the information to learn what it takes to do these kinds of transactions. But also go to National Council of Exchanges in Las Vegas if you're an agent.
Blake, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm going to let you go, but until next time, keep thinking outside the box.
I don't even know where that box is. You have a great day. Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye. Good. Well, thank you so much. That was kind of fun. It always goes different directions that I don't ever know what it's going to go. But I didn't slam on the syndicators. Usually my line is, the thing I really like about syndications is the money I make breaking them up. Because when you guys have problems, I'm the guy to call. I know. That's why I said I didn't want to say that. All right. You have a great day. Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye.